Yeah, I guess now it works. I was just trying to get the feel of it here. Yeah, I guess this is fine. The Thursday afternoon, June 29th, 2023, here with the Hello Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that has been on the air since 1980. And of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course, the likes of you out there. And make it your business to enhance and fortify the concept of public access. And that's something that we should take pride in, and and uh, and appreciate ourselves for actually making it evident that the arts and poetry and music is important to the stability and level of coherence of society, of a community, of um, a neighborhood, or of a household, of just the values that circulate in order to kind of fortify and enhance the that concept that has a mind of its own, and it's kind of motion forward and upward constantly. And you would learn quickly enough that it has so much energy on its own behalf that very little is needed on our behalf to make major things happen. Even though eventually we do, of course, that goes without saying. And I'm going to just grab this because I I got some material that I was working on, and I wanted, since I did get a few emails from people, um, I won't say thousands or 100, just a few emails, and and it was nice to see that and to get to know that actually so many people are listening. It's not the number of people; it's the people who listen and then actually can withstand a 45 minute to 1 hour monologue by someone they don't know, and that they can relate to certain aspects of it that provokes them a little bit, helps them think deep enough, and to be willing to invest the time in order to make things happen, in order to make a difference. And I'm going to put these headphones on because sometimes when I hear myself through the headphones, I am actually going up one more. That's intense. Oh my God, that's intense. What was that? Okay, so I need to just do one thing here. Okay, yes. Uh, as I mentioned, June 29th, year 2023, on a Thursday afternoon, here with the Hello Hello Show, continuing with our tradition that has happens to be rich and with 4 decades behind it to get to the point where you can say that hmm, they're just the numbers that are piling up speak a language that makes it pleasant to realize how sometimes being adamant and throughout the process find yourself inevitably and automatically contributing to the heart of the engine and improving its fluid circulation and um, upgrading its operational capabilities. And that's speaking for yourselves. I speak for myself. I know the ratio the investment results and whatnot that follows it. It's just kind of the thereforeness. Therefore, you find yourself in that actually you can see in the horizon the suggestion that your destiny is actually existing on the map, and so it goes without saying for you that okay, um, I just need to make it there, and I'll be just fine. And then also realizing that obstacles and experiences that are built up on the behalf of occurrences that takes place in your life to challenge you um, and to challenge you and to challenge you, and sometimes you're more interested to know uh, why this is happening, and and what is the nature of the challenge, and why does it have to be there, and if it shows itself more often than not, then why it does that, and then most of the times you realize that even that is a waste of time in the sense that you want to measure your scarce time against and in a relationship to the results, in a relationship to the actual creative time slash creations being created, being erected, being formed. And so it goes with the fact that you can make a decision and introduce very basic language into the equation of the holiness of poetry. Yeah, I mean, you read writers writing prose and poetry that just blows your mind just by their technical capabilities to write, their approach, their attitude. Like the genius before the genius, the real genius before the real genius, the real genius before the really, really, real genius. So it's like you are uh, deciding to pretend, and you introduce your limited version of first of all willingness on top of the structure, and and that willingness gives you a lot of credit, and you're somewhat talented, and so you can kind of survive the first round. And if you do survive the first round, then you have more time available on the stage to express your opinions and your desires and your requests and your aspirations and your expectations. So so you I decide to imitate and to pretend because I cannot really find myself close enough to that which I admire, because it's just that I didn't gain the capabilities that will uh, allow me access permits to to be let through. So I pretend, and out of this pretense comes the basic language that you unknowingly using something that is incredible, an attitude in place that if someone was to have to intentionally erect it and build it and present it and introduce it, it will take a lifetime. I mean, for the smallest scenario possible, it will take a lifetime. And here, a person like you just decides to introduce the genius of that which is available and existing, of the prose and expression and storytelling poetry, um, matched by introducing these majestic moments, realities to a very basic version of the language. And it's the fashion through which this kind of magic became relevant, and therefore the basic language had a way of expressing that which needs what it, that what which was uh, um, uttered, introduced, used, um, suddenly there is a field that is unfamiliar, and in a sense that you are actually going through something that coherently you would have never gotten the chance to be able to be so close to breaking through with important things, important issues, and you may make huge progress abruptly, almost. And well, yeah, I'd like to say you tell yourself, yeah, you tell yourself, okay, you're doing good. You tell yourself, yeah, you know the drill. You tell yourself, don't forget the basics, don't, and you tell yourself, don't be shy, or don't be in a rush to make decisions, and don't volunteer face expressions that will tell the world the story of how you feel and how you. Because if anybody needs to know how you feel or needs to understand who you are, it's only by way of you sharing this information. You need to be the one to tell the people, this is the person that I am. This is the human being that I am. This is the man that I am. And there's nothing short of that that is required in order to achieve the basics: familiarity, getting to know, feeling comfortable, being willing to do, feeling good about creating together, and feeling privileged, and therefore feeling privileged, and therefore feeling um, privileged, and therefore feeling lucky. And it's funny when you feel lucky, when you realize that you're actually lucky, that your intellect is becoming thicker. That's the only way I can describe my feeling towards that. Um, Adding weight, it stands firmer on the surface because it added weight. So just by the virtue of gaining weight, you achieve stability. I wouldn't say sacrificing something for the sake of achieving something, because that's really the cliche of that which is the most cliche of that which is inevitable to be cliche till the end of time, and then some. And so I pretended that moment, and I introduced that state of mind to the most basic version of the language that happened to be something that I had to offer, that I could offer. And there was something that I mastered, but not in the way that you out there would expect me to master. It was just a little more intriguing, a little more basic, and a little more down to earth than you can ever imagine it to be. And and I don't I try very hard not to say it in the way where you would like, okay, so we're up for a surprise, and so I guess yes, there's something that, building up a path of predictability that you might not be able to live up to, and but that predictability lives in the hands of those who were delivered this information, and it's really up to them what exactly they're going to do with it. They can shelve it, they can hide it, they can store it, they can sell it, they can expose it to the world, but most likely they will shelve it, and rightfully so, because this is like your thing about you about your things, with everything that makes everything around you what it is, and everything inside you to become who you are, and things like that. So identifying that which you don't want to adapt and to pay attention to and to be even associated with, sometimes you would have to cross path, and for that sake you would need to be a member and to have a password. That's pretty much it. A password that you can never forget. Doesn't matter whether you have one password for everything, or one different one if a different password for all the thousands of things that are you associate with, and they're a part of your life. A password that you can never forget, and second nature, yeah, pretty much more or less. And it's because when you cross paths, you can avoid, because you know how to pretend, so you can pretend that um, um, you pretend that you not aware, and therefore whatever follows, like, therefore I don't know you, therefore I mistaken you for someone else, therefore you look so different, so I would never guessed, and therefore um, I just turned for a second, that's all it took, and then suddenly it wasn't there, things like that. So you the same way with music, you want to approach the instrument and think in a natural fashion by adapting that which is already active within you concerning that. Work on it to preserve it so you can repeat over and over again that which is being repeated over and over again. So you're the repeater of that repetition. You're the repeater, therefore, you're like the introducer, a declarer, a Lerer, and therefore you just need to have a strong stomach and um, and a rugged um, technique of focus and detachment and distance, and approaching the whole situation as a psychologist slash mathematician, and you always keep an eye, even if it's just from the corner of your eye, about the relationship between the most basic form uh, of a language of any sort, um, automatically, uh, unknowingly, straightforwardly, softly, gently, intelligently, um, just like that, existing on the surface, upon which these adamant encounters take place that happen to be the most genius thing any nose, mouth, eyes, ears can experience, period, without any doubt. Like, like, uh, like a whimsical roadmap, something like something that will make you feel that maybe it's a good idea now and then to be able to forget about the pain, any kind of pain, just that you're able to kind of detach yourself from it or make it disappear or hide it or whatever it is that actually works for you, that you are getting some free time that is purified and transformed by way of enhancement of clarity and see through all these wonderful things, and then you keep the same attitude, the same face expression, and in that mode of being in a trace, as the journey takes place ongoingly, and it grinds the surface from which you want the music to be heard, and so it's very, very raw and basic, but in the same token, to be able to understand that you need to develop a level of sophistication that needs to be there at at your disposal instantly, any given time, always. And half of the things, and add to it the other half of the half, 3/4 of it all, is stuff that you cannot relate to unless you want to undress yourself from all the things that don't even have any potential to interfere. Uh, but just because you want to play it safe, you would have to undress on all front 75% in order to get to the remaining 25%. You always have superiority, you always have the last word. But if you were to step back and listen and observe, uh, there might be a chance you're not going back home because you probably will find a new home faster than you think. And there will be no discussion, no maybes, no almost, and no we'll see, not nothing other than a complete, um, um, utterly completed um, um, acknowledgement, agreement, mutually mutual feelings um, related to that one simple uh, um, what's the tribal, maybe tribal, yeah. um, um, the face the expression that is responsible for shaping a a symbol and a color and a composition that will go along with methods and truths and religions and beliefs and rituals and culture and customs and customs and holidays and um, ceremonies, rituals, um, mutuality, and you really never think in your life that you need to stop or pause for confirmation. Please confirm. I mean, in your phone, you won't find one word to just what did I just say? I don't even remember. Reevaluation, referrals, uh, rituals, and rigorous truthness. I wonder is it truthfulness, truthness. Um, and you achieved the point that you scored very low, but you were not kicked out of the game, which is a lot. So that means being in the lowest part of where you are at right now is already 100 times better than the most exquisite in the level underneath that. And that's pretty much the level that you came from. And to the one that you came from another one. You lived by investing time and showing willingness, and therefore it spelled progress and it spelled compensations, and it spelled money or favors or whatever it is that usually makes life easier and more appealing. And there's nothing wrong in that you're able to step outside knowing that the pressure that otherwise would have been there dominantly, regardless where you're coming from and or where you're going to, and or where you are at right now at this given moment. It's just something that you cannot, um, that you know. Well, I mean, if you are part of this kind of cycle, you would know this is something we're better off ignoring and not getting near, or not touching it, or not anything that it will spell avoidance, achieving distance, reminder of periodic. And when I say periodic, I say every 15 to 20 minutes, a gathering of the minds, one mind circling, circulating, and in the in the in the thickness of a process that happens to be nothing but accumulation, and constant reminder that everything that you experience, up or down, sideways, with any content, is thanks to your initiation, and thanks to your willingness, and thanks to your mm, sense of continuity and loyalty, and knowing what's right, knowing what's wrong, knowing also after that, therefore, how to relate to it, learning about what is the best way to react, learning about the nature of how we behave so far. Really, how much was it contributing to this side of, and how much to the other side, if at all. And then you realize you possess a lot of powers, you possess a lot of capabilities, and but you never stop for a second to think, well, about what? Well, okay, you can make things up. You can make it up, and then you can follow it and all this. And uh, and then the end of the session, and sessions, many of them, they would happen to be venturing into some great places, came out of nowhere, were not being able to be explained, um, um, and but yet it filled the time fully, with or without, with more or with less. Uh, so even the greatest agreed that this is a case where it's best to leave it alone and pay a visit whenever, and acknowledge presence, but you need to let it be. You need to let it be, and that's what you do. And lucky for all of us that that's what you do. That you just decide, I'm letting it be, and it works in a way, because you see, it's almost like, okay, someone sent you money, let's say Zelle you some money, whatever. So you don't need to really wait and or to try and find out, did you get it, you didn't get it. You're getting an email and a text message from all directions telling you that so and so sent you $500. So so you're on your phone, on the phone with that person, and that person said, I yes, I was actually, I just sent it to you, as we were on the phone. Did you get it? Well, then you wouldn't say, well, give me a second. Maybe you'll say, give me a second, but you wouldn't say, give me a minute. You say, give me a second, and then immediately say, got it, thank you. The same with the forces that are welcoming you into the arena, that um, welcomes you on the behalf of its knowledge of who and what you are. What are you capable of? What is it that one can expect from you? And then so much more, but this direction, just imagine another 10 layers of what I just described. And then you realize, yeah, of course. I look at this bullet, I look at this gun, they don't fit. I, 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 I look at the metaphoric, philosophical, um, soulful, religious, social, um, mid-air sacrifice, as sacredness is just the crowd of the moment, the crown of the moment, and the crowd of the moment, the crowd of the moment with the crown. Obviously, you read more, you'll realize that you're actually going to find out exactly who this person is. Anyway, after all, important or not important. So early on, you eliminate that, because anything can be important and anything can be unimportant. Everything can be important and everything can be completely irrelevant. But you don't want to find out afterwards whether you did or didn't. You just want to feel the feeling that will tell you what happened, and therefore the story has been told in a different way. But whatever it is that you're going to hear, you know about yourself, you know what it's going to be. You would know the nature of that story that's going to be told. You know, because you are the story, and while you were the story forming, you helped an exterior entity to run the show, completely without any regard to self, with an acknowledgement to self, but not with a regard to self. So you're keeping everything tight and immense and stable and profound, but yet in the same token, you give it a fresh air of humanity, of that which is humane, and softness and spiritual warmth. And you know that it works. You know that it works because you kind of see quickly enough indications that indeed what you just sent forth was greeted and accepted at the other end by something or someone that you are not aware of, or you don't know, or you've never met, or but your life in the hands of someone else. And it is your life. The beauty is that no one can mess around with it and introduce evil to it, or take advantage of it, or deprive you of it, and then therefore threaten you this way. It's not going to happen. It's not happening because the benefits of it and the evolutionary process and the process of growth is already instantly embedded into the system that belongs only to you, and you're the only one who has access to it. Is that wonderful or what? So you want to write the poem and say and 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 in the end, and it was, and and it kept on being, and we were near it, and so 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 we were introduced, and the additional level of energy was just another side story to keep the tension going and to feed the process of I wouldn't say tolerance, but um, acceptance. You accept, especially that which is very close to you. You turn around, you cannot accomplish a turn without brushing against all the ingredients that's surrounding you. And it's supposed to be a great feeling. And there's no reason why it shouldn't be a great feeling. And quickly enough, you'll know, you will learn, you will get a grip over that which is defines the elements out there, and you happen to be a direct, uh, real, you know, relationship to this occurrence. Okay, so in the I don't know why I'm so like thirsty. And in the celebration of colors, you want to introduce a an accurate portrayal of your background, and that will save you and spare you the hassle from going seeing a complete stranger and telling him or her who you are and what you're all about. Just almost like pathetic, even though, yeah, well, people need help and they ask for help and they get help. I cannot dismiss that, but it's just like, okay, well, let's just pick up a complete stranger and start opening our hearts, telling them about long nights and dreams of a little boy that doesn't even know yet how to dream and doesn't understand what it means to dream, and that you can write about the short version of it because you're smart. You're very smart enough to understand that maybe another day. But because you have so many, because I have so many, because we have so many achievements, we can leave for short periods of time, anytime we want. And it's just going to be this a feeling of a given. It's a given that this event is going to be aroused and erected, and then the sky is the limit, and you're already a part of the sky, and then you're the sky, then you're in disguise in the sky, and the sky that happens to be disguised, and there's so much. So the four walls of that basic approach to language that will tell you the story is rugged. The nearby equation of small pockets of life means so much to those who cannot make sense of what they're all about, and how they are in their quest to become the final version of who they are, who they're supposed to be, who they already are, and maybe doesn't need to add anything. Maybe you just need a sign or an interaction with someone that will tell you, "Oh, lucky bastard, you don't even know how good you're having it." And then you will turn and say, "Of course, I have appreciation. Of course, I appreciate, but I appreciate also most of the things that I'm doing, whether I like them or not. I appreciate that I'm actually doing. So I appreciate myself a great deal. I rehearse and exercise and experiment with myself when it comes to virtues and values and manners, code of conduct, code of behavior. Oh, I do that a lot. But of course, you can find the time and the space to allow you to be able to express your voice in the name of your belongingness uh, to in the areas where it needs to be replaced. So the level of awareness, when it's there, we know it's there. You and I, we know it's there. You and I, we know it's there. So therefore, it's just like the minimum amount of guards for maximum task, for a job that is maximum in its severity and exaggeration and yeah, so much more in that same direction. So take that, take the 2, 3 other things that I mentioned earlier about art and about observation and about okay, uh, wanting to sit and say I am a human being. I need to sit a little bit now and then. And screw you all if you think you're going to place your opinion over that, because there's no room and zero tolerance for um, intolerant intolerant people, or just like being. You know what? Acknowledging the being and behaving like human beings is a natural thing and highly recommended and highly encouraged to really, or maybe even overdo it, over the top, how we relate to life, how we can't wait to get to the next stage. And so, yeah, you got to keep it going. You got to keep it going. And if you want to make this your own property, remember the hundreds and hundreds and thousands of incidents where you actualized a lifeline for the others, a lifeline for the others, a lifeline, a real one for that sake. And yo, beautiful. Getting all these. Okay. I have the material that will allow us to understand. Well, I have that it allows. I just want to see on the screen where I stand now. Wonderful. So I can really what I should do. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I wanted to read. I wanted to read, and this is actually in the spirit of what I was saying: going, coming, entering, exiting. You know, all in a day's work, and all within a reason, all with the level of compassion and sensitivity, and putting my glasses and the easiness and lightness through which one writes poetry and create art. Um, Maybe I should do this. Let's see. I'm still with this. This is good. It's good. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm just okay. So, mhm. Wow. And then going backwards, there's like this. Yeah, I see. That's good. So, then introducing your words to a language that the language of the moment. This candle for resin brings the light closer to a quick pick, even long after the wax grasps the markings of well wishers you included. Righteous maneuver, a blink of a prize winning Iron Man. It was a quiet was a quiet celebration, a swinging roundabout trimmed to perfection, a sample of one way time there, an eclipse of wrong turns grinding the teeth of whale watchers. And a closer look reveals a strong desire to live, and the hint did not bother to slip the bill to the other end of the table, because sometimes it's not the usual case of rounding the usual suspects, and you gave yourself the rare moment, and you made a special use of it. You healed and uh, the meanest, the harsh treatment of treating the slow burning mixture of elements brightening the inner passage of an obvious willingness that leads to a fair share in a fair environment with a fair projection about a fair tendency to do good by others. And now it's time to unhindered and lay the facts on the table that tell the story of an emotional accuracy and narrated as if a feel tell finality finds a relief and pass on the greatest testimony of love thyself as a first and foremost requirement. And aren't you lucky, cheap bastard? Grand realization you could think through the cracks. And now I encounter your anxiety with a wide range of options that you gravitate. So I whispered into the dark. And it's not abandoned. I kept on calling quietly. You were embedded in the calm, in the thought of the afterlife. And you wanted to leave behind that which was and meant to shine in the forefront, overbearing introduction of full carrying. Bare plunge of that which is retrieved much cold for we get caught now and then nodding, a brisk feeding frenzy, even while an emergency measure blinks with the light, and we as back now with a description of an extreme necessity, all offered selfless and selflessly for your own delight to thrive, and you choose the living, the smoke of guidance, the satisfaction of sudden knowledge serving as a roller coaster of life's saving values, a place to the wholly internal and again outwardly goes. There seems to be a perfect match and proceeding. No blur is accepted any longer, and that is a blessing. Marching marching ahead already long before any journey embarks, far from being a lost soul in the center of the soul, since it's a pair of blindfolded figures walking aimlessly between the serving chef and the hungry palate critic. So it be, brown earth cover over black breathing channels. I love this sentence. Oh my God. That was a great sentence. So it be, brown earth cover over black breathing channels, not as roughness serves to persuade behind the traveling truth. Solid to transparent to a semi-solid drum beats passing before a gravitating exclusivity, its own meaning bluffing, a removed chance uncovering and grand slamming lasting before the all capable shaking grew in the midst of sweetness, brightening shine with shine, clock, rust about time, an impression of them turning in stunning blank swirling, not even a relation or a suggestion, an indication, a hint, and you above Lloyd with the mere will to acknowledge, to decipher blank, yes, blank, surrounded with happy slanders, but moreover, your trivia led and described brainstorming, blushing, the returning to a familiar backbone, fortifying my shrinking chances of ascending to spare a concept, blackboard, white doubts, screening each other's sprinkling of that which is natural to worship, a piece of half singing of satisfaction left to go over the pattern, leading to place and coherence, squeezing sky partners, folding eyes in narrow rarity, well positioned, suitably brainstorming as the fair challenge gives birth to pondering regarding the haste of a prairie blinking by stream of belongingness relating to the now of pointing and then pinpointing, but not resisting. I knew the system stands chance even without backers and guardians. So I connected with the knowledge of destinations, spread preferences, and the end of an artistic naivete, an era of blipping earth, discovering a touchstone implementer while a hint of vengeance plucking flows with some inclinations, wailing through the madness, posting the glimpse of diversity might it be a possibility, quorum lost yet, not the kind balding movements, pasted and ink paste partial holistic depth, cold stamped and maybe even a rose shy and unpresuming of the typicality of that which is the most heinous. A new Blade Runner, as if a prayer blasts the ponder of dead end. Raindrops, ceilings over drip magic as you center yourself over and over. The recollection of personal cry outs. A dream unfolds. and breaches his spearheading aim as the eye brightens with glimmer and no room for rolling back take your place. I knew instantly a false alarm twinkled and bred a path to panic. You knew better, and the horizon spoke well over the hands, and therefore, coming from the fence appearance of evil pretending a route to strategize, blink, blink, vaporizing, and after all sing along to the halo of glamour. This time it's yours, and grassroots shoot, a mind over matter, stormy aim, and latch and pretentious gravedigger, not a likely mix of speak the laminated language by stop, yes, before the turn of events takes you by surprise, blacklisted by Mother Nature. I give you credit for now. I grant you a new definition, out of which bleak brawls deep, deep into mystery as your elusive presence lasts, grasps the option of a slow motion depression. The image penetrated through the mist, you noticed, a support motion making its way into the center of your hideout, brought a slipper gesture blocking a way to express notions from a minute before calamity, now immersed deeply in clusters, the kind which requires a love of God to be present, the power of angels to be committed, the glory of fairy tales to be active and parallel reality to be active, and the everlasting squeeze to be accommodating. And you knew that, lucky for you, you knew there is a way to accept the love through the clearing of a sudden strangulation. It was in the nick of time for which you remained afloat, and I realized your need, and I catered to it, and and you're back, and we're looking forward to mention this joy, the joy of yours. Whew, that was intense. I actually, yeah, okay, I don't even want to start talking about it and what did I say and where it's coming from, except that we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday and as much as we're here this Thursday afternoon, June 29th, 2023, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1984. Not to forget to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and the likes of you out there making it your business to enhance and fortify this concept of public access, rightfully so. Not to fail to mention the art shows that we have here. An opening is going to take place of an exhibition titled Roundabout by July 8th between 3 and 7. And of course, you'll get more information later on down the road. Yeah, I'm on my way. It will take me about